Joyous Kwanzaa, Chicago. Amy and I wish to extend a very beautiful and prosperous Kwanzaa to all of you celebrating this season.
As you light the candles and gather in unity, we hope your holiday is filled with rejoicing and happiness.
The 7 principles of Kwanzaa guide us to unity.
Good Lord, Beetlejuice and Lydia have really let themselves go. What's up, guys? It's your boy MatPack420 here, coming at you with a new one. And today, alright, so yesterday Kwanzaa was trending on Twitter because it's Kwanzaa. In my last video, I took some shots at Kwanzaa. It was a Christmas video, just counting down my top 10 Christmas list. So if you want to check that out, you can. It was just a fun little thing I did on Christmas because I was bored. But yeah, so we have a third holiday. If you didn't know, obviously, Kwanzaa here. So we got Christmas, we got Hanukkah, 2 holidays that have been around for, thousands of years. No, seriously, because Christmas is actually just a bunch of pagan festivals that the church adopted in order to convert pagans into Christianity and to kind of overshadow the pagan festivals that were going on during the winter solstice. Same thing with Halloween. Halloween is actually a Christian holiday, which is pretty funny when you have the churches saying that, oh, Halloween's satanic, oh, don't celebrate Halloween, oh, it's evil, oh. When, again, Halloween was a Christian holiday in order to convert people from doing pagan rituals during the fall festivals, try to convert them to do, Halloween, Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, all that shit. But it's very complicated, all right? I sit and watch a lot of YouTube documentaries around the holiday times, learning about the holidays. And the one that pops up, which is a newer holiday, and, people are going out on Twitter saying, this is a fake holiday, oh, fake holiday. Well, look, 80 days a holiday, to be honest with you. Okay, your birthday's a holiday. Okay, your day off from work is a holiday. Okay, anything can be a holiday. The history of Kwanzaa is kind of shady, all right? And not to say that, the Christian church hasn't had their, scandals and such, because they have, all right? Catholic churches, I mean, come on, that's a meme in itself. But Kwanzaa here was created by a psychotic black supremacist who tied up and tortured 2 women and then proceeded to, rape them while they were in his cult. The guy was a psychopath. And I was getting it on Twitter with these people who were saying, well, it's okay that, the guy had a shady history, but it's all about connecting with your African roots and and having some sort of culture because we were ripped from our culture. Okay, look, black people in America do have a culture, okay? It is the black American culture. And the black American culture has always been the sought-after culture. From the 70s, 80s, 90s, like I can always remember the black guy culture always being cool. That is what's always being put out there. Right now, the hip-hop culture, all right? Black culture has always been seen as cool, as hip in America. Always has been, okay? Since I remember, okay? Right now, okay, the most popular music in America right now is rap, hip-hop. Music that is dominated by predominantly black people, okay? Urban culture, okay? I mean, I'd be stupid to ignore that, okay? I may be a metalhead and love metal music and be more of, an outsider in that, when it comes to the mainstream, right? I don't really like the mainstream stuff. But black culture is mainstream. It is, okay? And when they go around saying, oh, we don't have a culture, we don't have a culture, I'm like, you're nuts. Are you kidding me? No. The idea behind Kwanzaa was to create a black holiday and to separate from the white supremacist Christmas. The guy who created this holiday was a black supremacist who wanted to create a black holiday for black nationalists. He wanted to create a counterculture to then overthrow and then become the dominant culture, okay? He wanted to make Kwanzaa the Christmas. When you take over American culture, then you start taking over America. That was the idea. He wanted America to be a black nation. So some weirdos on Twitter called me out saying I was making this shit up. Alright, seeing as these people don't want to do any research or read a few articles, I'll do it and maybe get a few subscribers off of it. Alright, so Kwanzaa, a fraud racist holiday created by a criminal madman. Alright, this was written last year, so, I also got another article, but we'll read this one first. Those who are around my age woke up one December and discovered the holiday season of Christmas and New Year's became a trio, with the addition of something called Kwanzaa. Oh, sure, there were rumblings of a new holiday, but strangely, in this country, where political correctness is on overload, a day invented in 1966 by a rapist who ran a black separatist group is considered by some as a holiday on par with Christmas or New Year's. Kwanzaa is exclusively an American holiday and is not celebrated by any part of the world, including Africa. The name Kwanzaa comes from the phrase of Swahili origin, Matunda ya Kwanzaa, and translates as first fruits of the harvest. That's right, it's supposed to be spelled with one A, not two A's. The very name of this holiday is a typo. Kwanzaa runs from December 26th to January 1st. It's supposed to be a week-long holiday honoring African culture and traditions, but is tainted by its founder and original purpose. The man who created the holiday, Maluna Korenga, I think that's how you say it, Malan, whatever, Korenga, was convicted in 1971 of torturing two women who were members of United Slaves, a black nationalist cult he founded. A May 14, 1971 article in LA Times related the testimony of one of the women. Deborah Jones, who was once given the Swahili title of African Queen, said she and Gail Davis were whipped with electrical cords and beaten with karate batons after being ordered to remove their clothes. She testified that a hot soldering iron was placed on Mrs. Davis's mouth and placed against Mrs. Davis' face, and then one of her own big toes. And that one of her big toes was tightened in a vice. Karenga head of United Slaves, also put detergent and running hoses in their mouths, she said. Karenga was convinced that the women were trying to poison him. He and three members of the cult had tortured the women in an attempt to find some non-existent crystals of poison. Karenga thought his enemies were out to get him. Now, I'm not a doctor nor have ever played one on television, but this Karenga guy sounds like a paranoid psycho. Somehow I cannot see rational people wanting to observe a holiday created by such a sick, violent man. Especially this year when sexual assaults of women have been in the headlines almost consistently for months. Why would anybody want to celebrate a holiday invented by a man who tortured and raped women? Perhaps Kwanzaa is observed because this part of the Kwanzaa story is rarely mentioned by the mainstream media. When he invented the holiday, Karenga said his goals were to give blacks an alternative to existing holiday and give blacks an opportunity to celebrate themselves in history rather than simply imitate the practice of a dominant society. So Karenga believed that the dominant society was whites in America. Christmas was a dominant society, a white holiday. Okay, his idea was to overthrow the dominant holiday. He wanted black people to celebrate Kwanzaa and stop celebrating Christmas. Okay, and when the black people stop celebrating Christmas and disassociate from the white Christmas holiday, they can then start to overthrow the white Christmas holiday. Once Kwanzaa is the dominant holiday, you can then start to control the culture. Piece by piece by piece. And once you control the culture piece by piece by piece, you've then won. You are now a national society built on black society. That was the ultimate goal of this man. He was a black supremacist, a racist, a psychopath who beat and tortured and raped women. I created Kwanzaa, laughed Ron Karenga, like a teenager who just divulged a deeply held precious secret. People think it's African, but it's not. I wanted to give black people a holiday of their own, so I came up with Kwanzaa. I said it was African because, black people in this country wouldn't celebrate it if they knew it was American. Also, I put it around Christmas because I knew that's when a lot of blacks, would be partying. The late Tony Snow laid out what was so wrong about the holiday 33 years after it was founded. There is no part of Kwanzaa that is not fraudulent. Begin with the name. The celebration comes from the Swahili term Matunda Kwanzaa, or first fruit, and the festival's trappings have Swahili names, such as Ujimi, for collective work and responsibility, or Muhindi, which also ears of corn, celebrate set aside from each child and family. Unfortunately, Swahili has little relevance for African blacks. Most slaves were ripped from the shores of West Africa. Swahili is an East African tongue. To put that in perspective, the cultural gap between Senegal and Kenya is as dramatic as the chasm that separates London and Tehran. Imagine singing God Save the Queen in Farsi, and you grasp the enormity of that gaffe. Worse, Kwanzaa ceremonies have no discernible African roots. No culture on earth celebrates a harvest ritual in December. For instance, and the implicit pledge about human dignity don't necessarily jibe with such still common practices as female circumcision and polygamy. The inventors of Kwanzaa weren't promoting the return to roots, they were shilling for Marxism. They even appropriated the term ujimi, which Julius Nyerere cited that the uprooted tens of thousands of Tanzanians and shipped them forcibly to collective farms, where they proved more adept at cultivating misery than banishing hunger. Even the rituals using corn don't fit. Corn isn't indigenous to Africa. Mexican Indians developed it, and the crop was carried worldwide by white colonists. The fact is, there is no Euro-African culture. The continent remains stubbornly tribal. Hutus and Titus still slaughter one another for sport. Our treatment of Kwanzaa provides a revealing sign of how far we have yet to travel on the road to reconciliation. The white establishment has thrown it in, not just to cash in the business, but to patronize black activists and shut them up. But MatPack, that's just one article. A very spicy article at that. Only MatPack 420 could bring you such an article like that. Everyone else is too afraid to read this kind of shit. Well, that's cool, because, a simple Google search would find you several articles. I'm just going to find the second one I found, but, I found pages and pages of this shit. The Kwanzaa Con, created by a rapist and a torturer. Every year I post a piece about the troubled history of Kwanzaa. This year will be no exception. Note that some of the newspaper articles I quote are several years old and may no longer be online. Each year at the onset of Christmas, we are treated to another gauzy fluff piece about how great Kwanzaa is by yet another PC-spewing columnist. This year, among many others, we find aggrandizement such as that in the Record for New Jersey, with Kwanzaa sheds light on pride, heritage, celebration, blah, 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 articles, whatever. Several years ago, the Houston Chronicle got in the act with a piece hit by Leslie Kashmir titled Learning About Kwanzaa from the Holiday's Creator. This one, though, was a bit on the unusual track is how great is Kwanzaa theme, because this particular piece celebrated the inventor of the faux holiday, Maulana Karenga himself. So instead of merely celebrating this manufactured holiday, Kashmir amazingly made a hero of the rapist, racemonger, and violent thug who created it. To Kashmir, Kwanzaa created Karenga was a hero. Kashmir waxed all aglow about how wonderful Karenga was, and her column found a gullible parent who, with kid in tow, went to see the man at the local community center. But just like the manufactured holiday he invented, one out of whole cloth, this Karenga is also a false front created out of fluff and nonsense. It is, as it happens, this supposedly great man's real name is not really Maulana Karenga. It's instead Ronald McKinley Everett, a.k.a. Maulana Ron Karenga. We'll soon see this subterfugial reinvention of smoke and mirrors as Karenga stock in trade. Well, it's not surprising that he doesn't want to give too many interviews, what with his disgusting record as a violent felon and sexual criminal and all. Karenga has a long criminal record. A look into his real history finds that in 1971, Everett served time in jail for assault. By then, Everett had changed his name to Maulana Ron Karenga and began to affect a pseudo-African costume and act as part Native African, even though he had been born in the USA. It wasn't mere assault Karenga was convicted of either. It was sexual assault and torture that he perpetrated against some of his own female followers. The LA Times then reported that he placed his hot soldering iron in the woman's mouth and used the vice grip on another woman's toes, of all things. Yeah, Karenga served 4 years in prison. Now, the only reason he didn't serve more time was because he raped and tortured black women, okay? Let's be real, if he had raped and tortured white women, he would have got the chair. But that's neither here nor there. The guy's a psychopath, okay? He was a black supremacist who raped and tortured people, who ran a cult, who wanted to overthrow white society by taking over their holidays and culture. Speaking of cons, I remember this floating around last year.
Happy holidays, everyone. I wanted to take a moment to send my warmest wishes to everyone celebrating Kwanzaa. Like so many other holidays, we will be celebrating Kwanzaa a little differently this season in our home. We'll be doing it over Zoom. You know, my sister and I, we grew up celebrating Kwanzaa. Every year, our family and our extended family, we would gather.
This woman is absolutely full of fucking shit. I cannot stand the people we voted for in power. I mean, the woman is half Indian and half Jamaican. She's not even from Africa. Are you fucking kidding me? But these people, they go on live, they go on national TV or put YouTube videos out, literally lying to Americans, literally lying to the lemmings, and they eat this fucking shit up. Alright? That's the point of this video. Alright? I'm calling this bullshit out. Kamala Harris is a fucking liar. Mayor Beetlejuice is ugly, evil, disgusting, and also a fucking liar. Kwanzaa is a racist holiday, and more people need to know the truth about this shit. And now you do. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. If you like what you see, like what you hear, go and like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Gab, Minds, all that in the description. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.